Well, good morning, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from beautiful San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, and purposeful coach and speaker in the world. I hope you are as excited as I am, as I say daily, for the opportunity to live the day that you choose to live. You know, truly, the story you tell yourself determines the type of day you're going to have. If you say you're going to have a bad day because something terrible happened, maybe it's time to ask yourself, did I have a bad moment that I'm just in the habit of milking all day? And this could change your reality. So you might want to just not ruin the rest of the day because something doesn't go your way early in the morning. I'd like to begin this conversation talking about the fact that it's very easy to keep your priorities until there's a conflict. It's very easy to keep your priorities until there's a conflict. Let me just give you a couple of examples. Angela and I will celebrate 25 years of marriage this year. And of course, we went to pastoral counseling when we were first together. She was 20 and I was 25, which means she had the maturity of a 20-year-old woman and I had the maturity of a 12-year-old man. So when we got together, understanding how to work together was going to be a key factor. And our pastor shared with us a scripture that says, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Submit to one another. And he said this, he said, true submission cannot really occur until there's a disagreement. We said, well, what do you mean by that? And he says, well, as long as you guys are getting along with each other well, and as long as you're honoring one another well, you guys are just getting along great, you're in agreement with things, there's no real opportunity to submit one to another. True submission cannot occur until there is a disagreement. When there is a disagreement, now you have the opportunity to humble yourself and submit. Does this make sense? True submission can't occur until there's a disagreement. Then one person has the opportunity, an option to choose to submit to the other person. It's the same thing with your priorities. Keeping your priorities in order is a piece of cake until there's a conflict. And what might a conflict sound like? Well, that just depends on what your particular priorities are. Honestly, most people believe they have priorities in their minds. However, their audio, what they're saying, and their video, how they're living, do not line up with those priorities. Someone may say, God comes first, my family comes second, and business comes third. And yet, if you look at their schedule, you will see it's 90% business, rarely any family unless something happens to pop up, and church, if you're lucky, is maybe an hour on Sunday. So, time with God in a long week. Yeah, you may say God, family, and business, and yet, if you look at your schedule, we can see where your true priorities lie. So, first of all, knowing your priorities is a key. You have to know the order of importance of those you are going to pay attention to. What does God, family, business mean? Simply, the order of who you should be paying attention to in your life, if that's what's most important to you. Secondly, once you know what your priorities are, you have to have the conversation in your mind about the fact that there will come a day that you will pay a price to value that priority or to devalue that priority. There will come a day. Let me give you an example. This is year 21 for me in the real estate business. When I obtained my real estate license, I had spent over 2.5 years selling new homes. And that meant that I worked Saturdays and Sundays. I had to leave church early in order to enter into the real estate world. And I missed out on a couple of years of going to events at my grandparents' house, which was a very, very important time for me growing up as a child and then even as an adult. I love being at my grandparents' house. When I got my realtor's license, I made a simple decision. I will not work a Sunday. I'm going to be the realtor that does not work on Sundays. Period. That's it. And I had enough people tell me that I would fail and I would not succeed as a realtor that it motivated me to say, hold my beer and watch. Ladies and gentlemen, I haven't worked a Sunday in 21 years. I've been very fortunate to be in the top 1 to 5% of realtors in San Antonio, probably for the last 17 years. And Chick-fil-A-ing it, yo. Chick-fil-A-ing it. Not working on Sundays. You know why? I had to work and hustle like no other realtor so that I could have that day off like no other realtor. I had to create enough of a value proposition and become powerful enough, educated enough, knowledgeable enough, skilled enough that people were willing to wait a day to meet with me on Monday. I had to become greater than I was so people would choose to be in business with me. Now, knowing that priority, I had to make a decision, and Angela and I had the conversation. At what price will we compromise at? And here's what I mean by that. Let's say somebody came to me and said, Steve, Dr. Jones is going to be in town for just one day. He's going to be in town one day on Sunday, and he has to find a home. He only has time to look at 5, and he's buying $1 million house. Guess what? Brother Collins would work on Sunday. I would honor the Lord, and we would provide for our family in a significant way, because we would have a set time and a set date, but it'd have to be $1 million home, which could ultimately translate to $30,000 in a commission. So Angela and I said, at that point, it certainly makes sense that we would provide for our family if we had a set number of houses and a set time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that hadn't happened in 20 years, and yet we had the conversation, because we're not idiots. I wouldn't go, $1 million house, I'm not working on Sundays. No. You gotta use the brain that the good Lord gave you as well. So we're not stupid. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm just saying that at some point, if you don't have the decision made about the priority, then you will be in internal conflict, vacillating, rubbing your hands together, stressed out and frustrated, because there will be a conflict inside of you. Well, should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I do it this one time? Should I not do it this one time? Money's tight. Living the priority was not a challenge until we were broke. In 21 years, we've gone broke multiple times. And I mean broke, like extra syllables added to that broke. I'm telling you that making those prioritized decisions during seasons of conflict and lack, that's where your mettle is tested. That's where you determine if you really do have the priority, or if it's just conditional. Is it a priority, or is it conditional? Meaning, do I compromise my convictions on the altar of convenience because I vacillate, because I'm truly not committed to my priority? You see, keeping your priorities is easy until you have a conflict, until something comes up, until another option comes up. Staying married is a great thing until you find somebody else who maybe really piques your interest a whole lot. Maybe you're going through a tough season. Maybe it's really hard, and maybe you think, maybe there's no alternative. Well, it's not so easy then, isn't it anymore? You've got to have that self-discipline. Having a priority for your health is easy as long as you're feeling good and you're feeling great and you got someone to work out with. The minute you got to do it yourself, or it's 25 degrees outside, or in San Antonio it's 100, and you're tired and exhausted from the end of the day, you have to decide, is my commitment going to direct my life, or are my feelings going to direct my life? Is my commitment to my priority going to take precedence over my feelings in the current situation? And until you come to the place that you are prepared to sacrifice something, you will not stick to your priorities. Keeping your priorities is easy until there's a conflict and you've got to decide and you've got to choose. That's how you know if you really do have a priority and if it really is a higher value. If you're unwilling to compromise when you're in the middle of a conflict. Does this make sense? So the nugget I want to leave with you today is this. The nugget is to have a checkup from the neck up to see if your audio, what you're saying is important to you, matches your video, how you're living your life. Does your audio match your video? Does your audio match your video? Does what you're saying is important to you and a value, is it really showing up in your life, or are you merely kidding yourself? God first, family second, business third? Really? Interesting. Take a look at your schedule. Reflect back and ask yourself the question, does my audio match my video? Do I really live what I say are my priorities? Or is it just a Pollyanna pipe dream with rainbows and unicorns and glitter as I walk in this world of deception, thinking that my priorities are in order, and yet my schedule reflects that they're completely out of order? Ladies and gentlemen, today's a great day to have a checkup from the neck up and decide if you are truly living your priorities. Have a great day, guys.